We about to open up a whole can of primatology discussion. So sit your candy ass down, because it's monkey time, bitch. Gorilla Radio. Turn that shit to a reasonable volume so as to be considerate of others.
Monkeys go directly to hell. All right, everyone. Welcome to episode 82 of Gorilla Radio Show. I'm your host, Austin, and Chandran has been detained in India for doing so much cocaine that they have decided to make them the monarch of India. They've decided to throw away the whole Modi government and make Chandran the monarch of a unified Indian empire. And also Greg's here.
And I'm here. Hey guys, I'm gonna open this bag of chips.
Right next to the microphone? Yup.
Right next to the microphone.
Are you using the right mic? You do sound a little quiet still.
People have been saying that to me for days now, and literally nothing has fucking changed about my microphone, so I don't fucking know.
Well, I'll just make you louder in the recording, or I don't know, maybe... Anyway. Yeah, so it's just us today. We've got a couple of... I figured this could be like a debate-style episode where your two favorite hosts will debate each other off, and...
Yeah, we're gonna do something to each other off.
We're gonna do something to each other. I'm coming to Vermont tomorrow.
Tomorrow, everyone. I'm gonna see if I can't get this guy pregnant.
Nothing you can't accomplish with a little elbow grease. But,
We're gonna get you a boy abortion.
Many such cases. So, yeah, I mean, the first thing to talk about is two news articles. One, this just happened.
She's doing it again, folks.
Tanya Haddix, she did it again. I can't find any details about it, but she was hiding another chimpanzee in her basement. The lady from Chimp Crazy. I mean, I suppose
how?
At the end of Chimp Crazy, it's lightly implied that she was doing this because she moves to Florida and marries some guy named Jerry Aswegan.
Yeah.
And
Jerry
opens
Aswegan.
Yeah. in Wigan, it's as good as gravy. She opens another animal sanctuary, exotic animal thing. I don't know. She's not supposed to be able to, and she's not supposed to have chimpanzees, but...
There's no rules in Florida.
She does that thing where she gives a little look to the camera and chuckles a little bit like she's hiding something, which is very stupid. But obviously she is, and she was.
Yeah.
She was hiding another chimpanzee,
Which is crazy.
Let's just read this article. Appeared in federal court on Tuesday, where it was learned she was hiding another chimp at her house. It was also in the basement of her Sunrise Beach, Missouri home. Chimp was not registered, obviously.
Of course.
She's not allowed to keep chimps anymore as a part of her bond conditions from prior cases, but she's just addicted to chimpanzees. Haddix told the court she was not feeling well after an episode that sent her to the hospital in Camden County. She said she was arrested in the hospital and felt well enough to sit through the hearing. She remained silent other than the explanation about her health. She was shackled at her hands and feet. They're wheeling her out like Hannibal Lecter.
Hell yeah, brother. I got a fucking spit mask on her.
They find a third chimp, and she's just... Can you still hear the chimps screaming?
Can you still hear the lambs? It's crazy she wasn't even arrested for this.
Yeah, wait, what was she arrested?
She was arrested for ducking financial sanctions levied against her.
It's always something financial.
It's the Al Capone thing.
Yeah. She's actually back in court today. I wonder if there's an update on this.
Oh.
Her husband is also expected to be taken into custody. She also has to pay $220,000 in attorney's fees to PETA. Let's see. The rest of this is just about Tonka, the chimp she was first hiding. Let's see. Tanya Haddix. Let's see if there's any updates from court today. Holy shit, she's bald.
Excuse me?
Yeah, they released her mugshot, and she's almost completely bald. She's got Homer Simpson hair sticking out of the top of her head.
I see this.
I mean, I guess it's obvious that she was wearing a Dolly Parton wig, and chimp crazy, but like still, goddamn.
What the fuck?
From also in the news, 105.7 The Point has a radio episode out called Tonka 2 Electric Boogaloo.
What the fuck?
What radio station? I don't know what radio station this is, but that's kind of funny.
Probably some fucking Missouri station.
They're probably going to... Okay, her Instagram is just chimp crazy lady, so she's very much, like, relishing. I think she still thinks that Chimp Crazy was, like, a fun documentary about her and her life and how cool she is. Genuinely.
I'm sure that's exactly what she does think.
And maybe some people interpreted it that way, too. She has a booking management email.
No way, can we book her?
Dude, let's book her to get on the podcast and be like, defend yourself to our audience, please.
Yeah, please tell me why you're the way you are.
Oh, this is awesome, actually.
This is crazy.
Yeah, no, she's just like this. Okay, well...
She kind of has a look in her eye, like you can tell she's mentally ill.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're never all, like, fully there. If this is the second chimpanzee that you're hiding in your basement, it's, like, safe to say that there's something wrong with you. Unclear what is wrong with her. Because, I mean, it's not like she's, like, schizophrenic. It's not like she's, like, well, I don't know. Yeah. Maybe she thinks, like, PETA is, like, gang stalking her, and she's got to save the chimpanzees from PETA.
Well, PETA is gang stalking her.
PETA is kind of gang stalking her, actually.
She has a YouTube channel with videos on it.
Dude, they should put her in jail, but, like, give her one of those really low-quality camera phones that they give to people in prison for some reason, and just, like, have her do, like, the most insane vlog rants. Do you think they're giving those people those phones? No, but they're getting them somehow. They're smuggling them in through their buttholes, I've been told.
Through their prison pockets.
Yeah.
How many cell phones do you think you could fit in yours? There's no foil here. There's no Chandran, so I just directly ask you.
Yeah, the foil's gone. There's no barrier preventing you from.
Normally, there's a foil where I go, Chandran, how many cell phones do you think Austin could fit in his ass?
And then Chandran says something
insane, like 20.
They say, I think that we should ask Chandran to send in a voice clip on what they think on that subject and put it in here.
I hope y'all can hear that music right now. That's the music of life, baby. Now listen. I've seen Austin. I've seen Austin in action. I know that Austin, that white boy, that very special white boy, that boy who I love so much and who I would do terrible, evil, awful things to in the night if he would let me, I can fit at least 7 flip phones in his ass and maybe about like 5 smartphones because of, the whole difference in, like dimensions and shit. Now, also, this is just for my GRS fans, for the people who love me and want to know what's going on in my life. I just got matching tattoos with some Norwegians I ain't ever met before. I don't know these people. Anyway, fuck, I didn't know Germans had good jazz, but you might be able to hear that good-ass jazz. Like anywhere, you gotta find the good music in the subway, baby.
Speaking of digging in your butts... Start digging in your butt, twin.
Before we get there, you know what? Fuck you. 24 hours I had of like, oh my god, I finally made a fucking viral tweet. It's taken a decade. Only for you to post digging in your butt, twin, and get double the goddamn interactions.
Look, I can't help it. I can't.
I hate you.
I'm tapped into what Gen Z likes. I'm the Gen Z maestro. They're calling me Mr. Hip.
They're calling you Mr. Digging in your butt.
They're calling me Mr. Digging in your butt due to I want to go back to that like fucking Jeopardy ass segue I did actually.
Yes.
Start digging in your butt, twin. Chimps are sticking grass and sticks in their butts seemingly as a new fashion trend. From cbc.ca. Is this a Canadian news article?
Canadian Broadcasting Company, buddy.
I feel like we've talked about this very briefly before, but we might as well just read the article since we've got the time.
Yeah.
The new phenomenon appears to be a fresh spin on an old fad of wearing grass in the ear. So, I think we mentioned this with the orca salmon hats, but like, chimps used to do this thing where they'd like put a blade of grass behind or in their ear, and this was like 14 years ago or something, and they could never figure out why they were doing it. It just seemed like a fashion trend, and so people jumped on that and used it as an example of like, oh, animals other than humans can have like organic culture and like trends. But I think this new discovery of chimps putting the grass in their butthole adds a bit of nuance to this discussion that wasn't there before.
There's a little bit of stimulation going on with this one.
Yeah. So a group of chimpanzees in Zambia have resurfaced an old-fashioned trend with a surprising new twist.
Why don't you try that country again?
Zambia?
Yeah, there you go.
You can't do it Zambia?
I think the last person to say Zambia would have been like an apartheid-loving Boer.
Fair enough, I guess. So, 15 years after a female chimpanzee named Julie first stuck a blade of grass into her ear and started a hot new craze among her cohort at the Chimfunchi Wildlife Orphanage, an entirely new group of chimps at the refuge have started doing the same thing.
That's awesome. We were really shocked that this had happened again. Jake Brooker, a psychologist and great apes researcher at Durham University in England, told As It Happens host Neil Cocksuck. That's what I'm saying. We were even more shocked that they were doing their own spin on this by also inserting the grass and sticks in a different orifice. The chimps, he says, have been putting the blades of grass and sticks into their ears and anuses and simply letting them dangle there for no apparent reason. The study, published in the journal Behavior.
I want to ask these people if it's like a different blade of grass or if they're going from ear to ass, like with the same
You know they're
stick.
going from ear to ass.
Well, because, like, they don't really care about, like, the perceived grossness of assholes, in my experience. Like,
They don't care about poop.
well, I mean, they do eat their own poop, so I guess that's the one thing
Yeah,
to consider.
I don't think they
mean,
care.
you would think maybe it would put them at risk of an ear infection, but,
Do you think they know that?
well, no, they don't, but...
Yeah.
This is like a deep cut to early Gorilla Radio show, but if you'll remember, the chimpanzees at the sanctuary I was working at, and probably just in general, did this thing where they would go up to another chimp and to sort of like gauge how they were feeling that day. At least that's just speculation. It's like either to like get a gauge of like how stressed out they are, or like maybe if they're ovulating or something. They would stick a finger up the other chimp's ass and then taste it in like
Ovulating, twin?
sticking a finger up your ass. Are you ovulating, kitten?
Twin, are you ovulating?
But yeah, no, it's sort of a remnant of olfactory communication that humans are definitely less in touch with than basically every other primate.
I know. Hold on. Can I stop for a second? Can I stop you a second?
Yeah.
We're 13 minutes in. Folks, I want to apologize right now. I just realized, I looked up, and I realized that every time I've taken a bite of a chip, it's fucking audible. So, for the first 15 minutes of this podcast, you're going to hear me eating salt and vinegar chips.
Don't worry.
stop
I
now.
usually have to deafen you between speaking anyways, because there's like clicking and shit in the background. So I'll just
It's me playing Meat and Fuck Kingdom 4, Steve.
yeah, maybe I'll just manually amplify all of the chip crunching to be loud as fuck while
You
I'm
should
talking.
bass boost the shit out of it.
Bass boost the shit out of it, just like really loud crunching. That'll be a good bit.
I swear to God, when I move, we won't have this problem anymore. Because right now my PC is right behind the microphone, so that's why the mic is always going. And I got concrete behind me and my shitty ass air conditioner. You're gonna find out.
Greg's moving back to Asheville, folks, and I'm going to see a band from Asheville tonight, actually. They're coming to Buffalo, because there's a weird, like, music pipeline between Buffalo and Asheville that I don't quite understand, but it's there.
Because you fucking Yankees.
Yeah?
I'm really sorry, but...
That was so actually audible to me as well.
That's good. It peaked all the way in the red. I know there's also another noise happening, and it's concrete. A paper bag.
Nice. What was that you were saying about the Yankees? Something about abolition?
You damn Yankees. Should have killed all of you.
But yeah, no, I'm going to see an Asheville band, so that's cool. Oh yeah, on the topic of the Buffalo to North Carolina and back and forth pipeline, so many people from Buffalo moved to North Carolina, and then I noticed this. Buffalo sports teams poach a bunch of players from North Carolina sports teams and like coaches as well. And now this weird connection between Asheville and Buffalo I'm noticing. And just recently, the I think like director of the Durham school system resigned
is going to Buffalo.
And then got exiled to the fucking snowy north of Buffalo, and as like a punishment. And now he's in charge of the Buffalo school system, I guess. So, all right. The study published in the journal Behavior last week sheds new light on how social cultural trends spread and change among our primate cousins, much like they do among humans. So I'll pull up the actual, the actual study itself, just because sometimes there's details in there that aren't in the news article versions. So, the next subheading, they learned it from us. Some of it, anyway.
Some of it, anyway.
Well, there's an implication here that I won't get. We'll get into it.
It's about the implication.
It's about the implication. So, in fact, the researchers suspect the chimps learned the behavior from people. The ear part, that is. Who's to say, though? So, the two groups of chimps who displayed the behavior don't have any contact with each other, but they do share the same human caretakers. So when this first happened, it was just one chimp that started doing it, and then it spread to the rest of her social group, but nowhere else. And so with that, they weren't sure why it was happening, but this time around, it happened to two completely separate groups of chimpanzees at the sanctuary. So they're like, all right, clearly the common factor here is the caretakers. They must be learning from the caretakers. And so they asked the caretakers...
Dig it in their butts.
The study basically asked them if they use matchsticks or blades of grass to clean their ears out when working at the sanctuary, and they said yes. So, like, to a chimpanzee, they see someone using a matchstick to clean the earwax out of their ear, much like a Q-tip.
It's the age-old adage here, folks. The monkey see.
Monkey do. Did you want me to finish it? Why did I have to finish
I
it? I don't know. Monkey see, monkey do. They saw the caretakers cleaning out their earwax with a stick and just assumed it was for a good reason. So they just started putting sticks and twigs and shit in their ear, which is interesting because it's like, we are kind of doing it for a good reason, but like, it's not like necessary to clean out your earwax for our health. I mean, kind of? Is it? I don't know.
Yeah, dude, you gotta get the shit out of your ears.
Yeah, but like, it's not like super necessary to clean it out all the time.
Are you trying to tell us something right now? I want you to look in the camera.
No, I clean out my ears. I'm
clean
just
the
saying,
ears.
ears are also like self-cleaning to an extent too. That's why they always like yell at people for using Q-tips. I didn't hear what you said, so it can't.
That's
hurt
okay.
me.
Leave it in. It will hurt you. Oh, do you want to have like 38 Sapporos when you're here?
Yeah, I think I would like that very much.
Because I gotta go to the grocery store today, so I'll just get beer.
I think I would like that very much, to have 38 Sapporos with you.
All right, thank you. I would love to do that with you too. Do you want to do anything when you get here on Friday? I don't know what time it's gonna be.
I'll probably get there like 10 or 11, so we could like
That's so crazy. Go straight to what? To the bar at 10 p.m. in Vermont?
Yeah, I guess the bars do close rather early there.
We can go to the bar on Friday when you get here. It might not be close by. It might be like 15, 20 minutes away.
That's all right.
Everything
is roughly a 15 to 20 minute drive in my life, I feel like.
That's true, and I do indeed know how to drive on these roads.
The chimps, Brooker says, have potentially copied it from a human who was walking by the enclosure or one of the caregivers who was just going about their daily lives. Like with all cultures, things change over time, they get refined, and new quirks and new traditions pop up. So he's implying that the cultural spin on this is that they've decided independently to put the sticks in their butt as well. But there's a funnier alternative here, and that is that the chimps saw one of the caretakers digging in their butt and decided, this seems like a good idea.
We should start digging in our butts.
Which is a possibility that has to be acknowledged for scientific purposes. that maybe a guy was digging in his butt in front of the chimps.
Let's think about it. You imagine you are in Botswana and you are a park ranger. All right.
Well, it's not Botswana.
I'm gonna go.
It's,
is it? Oh, it's Zambia.
Zambia.
You're in Zambia, and you're a park ranger. I'm just gonna go out on a limb here and say this giant nature preserve in Zambia probably ain't got a bathroom with toilet paper in it. So you probably got to dig in your butt a little bit.
You probably got to dig in your butt a little bit.
Dig in your butt a little bit.
I'm just
Probably dig in your
saying.
butt a little bit. Maybe
I
now
think they just
we'll
don't want to say.
We'll know for sure if it was a person if the chimps start digging in their butts and then sniffing it a little bit. See how bad that. How
Scratching
bad is
his
it down
balls
there?
and then sniffing it just a little bit afterward.
Make sure. Does it still smell like me down there? Also, I gotta say the picture on this article of the chimp right below this paragraph is crazy.
Oh yeah, I mean,
this has got to be one of the most high definition images of a chimp I've ever seen, and also,
it's kind of fucked up how like
it looked crazy.
And you know what? He's posed like he knows he's serving too. He's like, yeah,
He's
I got that
serving.
shit on.
He's got that shit on.
He's mugging the camera a little bit.
He's hitting it. You can't see because I don't have my camera, but he's hitting like the finger thing on his thigh. He's getting him. He's getting him with it.
That's a neck. That's a neck.
That's a neck.
So, anyways, back on topic. Chimpanzee influencers. In this case, the team traced the new quirk to a male chimp named Juma, who seems to have originated the grass and butt variation. From there, the study shows it spread rapidly to most of his groupmates within a week. It took a week for them to be like, damn, you gotta try this shit, dude.
They were stimming. You know they were stimming.
They're stimming. These autistic chimps were stimming by putting grass up their butt. They're doing the Pedro Pascal thing where whenever they get anxious they have to like touch a woman, but it's for sticking something up your butt.
Do you think they were like blowing big old loads? Do chimps have a prostate? Chimps have a prostate. Is it
Surely.
the chimps G-spot too?
I've never investigated the chimpanzee prostate, but I assume it's there.
Well, you should be. What are you doing? You're the anthropologist.
The chimpanzee as a model of human benign prostatic hyperplasia.
What?
The most common benign disease in aging men. I'm not actually...
Cancer?
Benign prostatic hyperplasia. I'm not sure what that means. Let me Google it
I'm just
real
going to
quick.
do this. Do chimp have
Oh, it just
prostate?
enlarges the prostate and causes urinary problems. It's when old guys have
chimps
to peel.
prostate. I'm going to say, is chimp G-spot in ass? Google AI is generating something for me.
Okay, let's see what AI has to say about this.
Well, it says the G-spot or Grafenberg spot. No, this is talking about female chimps. Hold on, I'm on a Reddit r/ape chimp's ass.
Crazy Reddit name, by the way.
And then it is a picture of a chimp's ass, like crazy huge.
That's probably the genital swelling of a female chimp.
Here, hold on, I'm gonna put it in our Discord so you can take a look at this.
Yeah, let the expert take a look here. Yes,
Chimp's
that is
ass.
female genital swelling. Anogenital swelling, rather.
Also, r/ape, which I really need to reiterate, is about monkeys.
Yes.
Has a little picture of a monkey as a Redditor, obviously, with the Ukraine flag behind it.
Awesome, dude. Hell yeah, I love Reddit.
It's the most Reddit war to have ever happened. Ever. Like, it is a Reddit conflict completely.
Like, down to, like, the live leak footage.
Like, this is a Reddit conflict. They're always talking about the drone they bought and how, like, someone else is fucking
It's like if a
wife.
bunch of, like, hobbyists started a war, it feels like.
It sucks so much. I hope they both lose.
God willing, they both lose. So, back to chimpanzee asshole prostate G-spots.
Yep, chimpanzee assholes.
I have talked briefly about chimp homosexuality. I mean, that was like 2 episodes ago, actually. I mean, chimps be fucking each other in the ass.
Holy shit, you scroll down a little bit, the bottom of this article, they are talking about the chimps fucking each other in the ass.
Well, then we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Okay. We'll shelve this discussion for now. So, The same thing happened to Julie's group. She started putting she started putting grass in her ear.
Dude. Whoa. What are you talking about?
She started putting grass in her ear in 2010, and pretty soon 7 other chimps were doing the same. The phenomenon even continued after Julie died in 2013. The researchers observed Julie's group again for this new study and found that 2 chimps, including Julie's son, were still wearing grass in their ears. Much like humans, Brooker says the chimps appear to be willing to suffer for the sake of fashion. You see when they're learning this behavior that it's quite uncomfortable. They shake their head and they rub their ear a little bit as if they're trying to get used to it. Once they adjust, though, they appear largely unbothered. He likened it to people getting their ears pierced. There's not a clear benefit that wearing earrings really brings, but some kind of social cultural reason. I feel it's similar to the grass in the ear. I disagree, but we'll get into that later.
Austin wears the earrings to signal to other men that he is bisexual.
Yeah, true. So it's an apt comparison, says Julie Tykrib.
Wait a minute, but we can't. We have to stop. We haven't had this conversation on the podcast yet. But I had it on last night with John.
Hold on, you're cutting out? You're cutting out? Greg, the CIA is trying to prevent you from talking about this?
Yeah, but it's very, very funny to me that Jaden they-them'd you multiple times. And then when I was like, that's not true, Jaden went, no, that should be true. Like,
what do you mean?
Here, hold it. You need the TikTok, like, bang, you know, when people say something crazy and it's like, boom. You need that, but it's like, I was like, well, no. And then Jaden went, aren't they, bam, bisexual? And I went, no. And then, and they went, aren't they out? And I went, huh?
Anyway, it's very funny to me.
I feel like there's no reason to be bisexual for me.
I know. Hold on.
I'm not going to make that statement for other people. But for me.
What? What
do
you mean?
It's like, I'm just not going to insist upon it, because then it's like, if someone's like, no, actually you're straight, I'll be like, okay, I don't fucking care. That's fine with me. Yeah, there's too much discourse online these days. I don't want to have to like suck someone off to prove anything. Which I'm told is how that works.
But imagine, if you said you were, you could say it.
I don't need to say it that bad. Although it would make some of my jokes funnier. So I won't lie to you.
Funnier, dude.
The temptation has always been there of like, dude, I just need to like get it over with so that I can make my jokes even funnier.
Well, like, you've already gotten it over with, you fucking idiot.
Yeah, but I mean, it feels like...
Go ahead and say it doesn't count. Say something crazy and validating right now.
No, it's like, you know, when like women have like one experience in college just to try it. It's like, whatever, you know, you can still be a Taylor Swift mom after that. That doesn't mean nothing necessarily.
Did you enjoy it?
We're moving on. So, it's an apt comparison, says Julie Tykrib, a primatologist at the University of Toronto who wasn't involved in the study. It just looks like an earring, you know, like a fashionable way to present yourself. And I'd like to think that there was more to that quote that they just didn't include because it wasn't as interesting, but it just looks like an earring is probably the operative, important part that the primatologists were trying to get at there, because it's not an earring. They're not... We'll talk about this more. Let's just get through the article first.
Okay, yeah, I'm doing my best. As for Juma's grass and butt variation, Tyke Robe says it's possible they're doing it to make themselves more attractive to potential mates. Females in particular, she noted, display a swelling on their rear ends to indicate when they're receptive to a little hanky-panky. They spend a lot of time looking at each other's butts, she said, so it's kind of not surprising maybe that they were innovating this way to sort of decorate their butts. Cultural differences are common among primates and other animals too, but they often boil down to different methods of accessing food and other resources. Because the chimpanzee chimps have human caretakers who feed them, Tykerobe says they may have more free time to develop purely social trends. We think of like silly little pointless cultural ideas that spread amongst people, she said. Learning that animals have these kinds of same pointless little behaviors that become fads and become viral, I think it really shows how closely related we are to them, how much kinship we actually share. Brooker says it reminds him of the orcas who have recently been spotting wearing salmon on their heads like a hat, a behavior last reported in the 70s. It re-emerged 40 years later like flared genes, Brooker said. In that case, scientists also theorized the trend could be related to an abundance of food after many years of scarcity. Now, I'm just going to finish the article here because there's only 3 more lines.
Mm-hmm.
Weird as this study was, Brooker says it's only the second most surprising behavior he's observed in chimpanzees. The most surprising, he says, was when he happened upon 2 male chimps engaging in post-conflict fellatio. The chimpanzees always give me something new to pique my interest, he said. And then that's where the article just fucking ends.
It does link to the study.
He ends this with
Chimp double blowjob? Bye.
Let's just read the abstract of the study that they link to reference this. So, abstract. Same-sex sexual behavior has been documented across the animal kingdom and is thought to reflect an enhanced dyadic cooperation and tolerance. For instance, same-sex fellatio, the reception of a partner's penis into another's mouth, has been reported in several mammalian species other than humans. Although same-sex sexual behavior is observed in our close relatives, the chimpanzees, fellatio appears to be very rare, as there are yet no published reports clearly documenting its occurrence. I've literally seen it, but okay. At Chimfunshi Wildlife Orphanage in Zambia, we observe an instance of fellatio occurring during a post-conflict period between 2 adult male chimpanzees, where one of the males was the victim. Why the victim? Why are you describing it like that? We describe this event with respect to the putative functions of homosexual behavior in great apes. Given its rarity in chimpanzees, this fellatio between adult males also highlights the apparent behavioral flexibility present in our close relatives. I'm assuming they mean like the victim of the aggression, but, you know.
Okay. I like the keywords here on this abstract. Chimpanzee fellatio, same-sex sexual behavior, homosexual behavior, sanctuary, behavioral flexibility, social tension.
You know, I've been known to engage in some behavioral flexibility.
Come on, dude. You can say it.
So, basically, all of this to say is that the chimps are digging in their butts, and that was the tweet I made because I was recently made aware of the TikTok meme of "start digging in your butt, twin." And
which I guess I'm just not allowed to have anything.
So I just posted that verbatim with a screenshot of the article, and it got like 20,000 likes or something like that.
Yeah, it's bullshit. I typed mine out completely, just so you know. I had to type it out.
You had to think of that. You had to type it out. You had to, really, you had to go through several drafts of it.
I did have to go through like 2 because I like almost misspelled it.
And
I stopped at 8.9 thousand. Where's digging your butt, twin, at? Too fucking high.
Too fucking high.
20K. Fuck you. Fuck you, man.
This shit easy to me, man. Okay, so
you don't even add the rose emoji, the wilted rose, and the chain.
I didn't even add the wilted rose.
You're calling me a wilted rose the way I'm about to.
Okay, so. The grass and ear behavior first cropped up at this same sanctuary about 10 years ago, as we talked about. But, again, they didn't know why it was happening. They just now realized it was probably because they were viewing human caretakers cleaning out their earwax. So this is sort of propositioned by some people as evidence of animal chimpanzee culture because the behavior has no actual use for survival or food acquisition like other examples of quote-unquote culture do. Whereas when things spread socially or quote-unquote culturally among chimps, it's usually like nut cracking methods or like opening up coconuts with rocks, like tool use. But because this has no benefit, I think there's a reason that this is only being seen in captivity. And that sort of is answered by this article itself, where chimps will do a lot of animals in general will do a lot of things that they wouldn't do otherwise by observing human behavior. And it's like, you can't exactly call that unnatural, but you can't say it. I don't think you can say it's culture because humans are cultural animals and animals are mimicking humans for reasons that aren't entirely known.
Clear.
Like, for example, chimpanzees don't use their index finger to point at stuff in the wild, but they do in captivity. That's not an example of chimpanzee culture. That's an example of chimpanzees mimicking humans, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It makes sense from an animal standpoint because humans are so successful biologically, evolutionarily, that when they see us, they see, well, they're doing something right. So if we just start doing stuff they do, it'll work out. It's the same thing with dogs where, canines learned, fuck it, these guys are onto something, let's stick with them. Same with cats, really.
Yeah.
Dogs more so evolved to understand, mimic, and comply with human behavior, where cats just evolved to sort of like be around humans, right? But, it's not, you can't say that like, oh, dogs developed culture because they know how to shake hands and roll over, And as the article said, it is similar to the orca salmon hat trend, which also cropped up for no apparent reason that they still really aren't sure about. Which is
That's
like
gotta be
possibly even
actual
more,
culture.
yeah, it's like more interesting than the chimpanzee example. Sorry to maybe that's taboo to say on a primate podcast, but this one
No, it's like way
is
more
genuinely more baffling.
There's something so cool going on with them, and we just have no idea what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like with chimpanzees we can like make assumptions and like maybe even like reasonable educated guesses because they're so similar to us, but orcas, other marine mammals in general, they do things that are like so like stunningly intelligent and we like aren't sure why, and we can't speculate too much because they are just so different. But to elaborate on the salmon hat thing, the basic summary of that is in 1987, a female southern resident killer whale from the K-pod of this group that was being studied and observed, which make a mental note of that.
The K-pod.
Yeah.
That's where I go and eat my bugs.
So this killer whale started carrying dead salmon on her head, and within weeks, 2 other pods started copying the behavior. The behavior ceased by the following summer, so they called it a temporary cultural fad. But this was literally just that, like a dead salmon, instead of eating it, they would just put it on their head and swim around with it for no apparent reason at all. Orcas are interesting because they do things that confuse us a lot. For example, when they started attacking yachts, we could only speculate why they were doing that. But here's the thing. These are orcas that are being observed off the coast of, I believe, California. Is it fair to say that orcas that are being constantly observed by researchers are, in a sense, in captivity? Like, not really, but they are interacting, like, they're not unaware that a human is following and watching them. They're not unaware of the human's presence. And even, like, if they weren't being observed and researched, I'd say that, like, the coastal waters surrounding California are, like, a shared ecosystem of humans and marine animals because they're constantly coming into contact with each other. There's boat strikes all the time. There's whale watchers. There's fishing and overfishing. Like, it's not like they're unaware and unbothered completely by each other's presence. We know for a fact that whales, for example, really don't like how much noise boats make, and it alters their behavior, makes them quieter because we're so noisy. So it's not like this is a bubble of quote-unquote purely natural behaviors that we're observing. So it's maybe not even a stretch to say that this doesn't really count as culture either, because these are human-modified animals acting in ways that humans might recognize but don't have an immediate benefit. But, like, I don't know. What do you think animals can or do have culture?
Yeah, I do.
I
think that I think orcas, like, I think certain aquatic mammals like orcas and whales, and dolphins, and like the great apes, I think they are capable. I think they have the capacity for culture. I think the other theory posited in the article is like, well, they have an abundance of food, so they have more time to focus on things that aren't food.
And I guess that's kind of what happened with humans too.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I do think it's different than culture. Like, beyond the fact that we made the definition of culture, so we obviously made it to refer to specifically human things, and we can stretch that definition if we like, but the sort of like, I don't know, like metaphysical quality of what we associate culture with is to describe human activity. So I don't think it makes sense to attribute that to animals.
I think it is culture in a way which it is, like, you are right. It's just in a way we can't really ascribe to ourselves. Like, they do have their own thing going on. Whether it matches the human definition of culture makes no never mind. But that would require changing, like, the definition of the word culture to be the catch-all and human culture to be separate from it.
Yeah, we're using it as the closest word, but I don't think the word itself actually applies definitionally. But, like, I do think that this is an evolutionary basis for what is happening in humans and how we define culture. But I'm not saying we have to make a whole new word, but it would just, as an anthropologist, it would be more scientific if we stopped using that word for animals, in my opinion.
It's mimetics.
Right. So one theory for the salmon hats and the boat attacks that orcas are doing are, abundance of food and just like being bored and playful. Things just tend to happen when you aren't like constantly fighting for survival, I think it's a convincing argument for where human culture, what we consider it, originated from evolutionarily. Human culture is uniquely complicated and more...
Don't fucking say that. Are you fucking with me?
Hulk Hogan died.
Hulk Hogan's dead.
Oh.
We'll never know what he was writing on that trailer.
Anyways, Hulk Hogan died. Back to human culture discussion.
Well, he is a huge part of human culture.
He's chimpanzees don't have Hulk Hogan. They don't get to claim culture.
No, they don't.
So I think human culture is uniquely, like, complicated and nuanced and has the potential to create powerful social tools, such as language, that just do not exist for other animals. Like, there are language-like abilities in other animals. The bird people will get mad at me if I don't say that. But let's start over here. So I think there's a basic drive of social animals to replicate and mimic behavior that is useful or transfers ideas from one animal to another. And I think human language has developed as a way to supercharge that process of we can now use symbols and like shorthands through like simple, really low energy interactions, such as saying the word fire, that communicate a whole variety of actions that you need to take, emotions you should feel, and so on.
Fire.
But that is like a way of like supercharging that process of transferring those meanings to one another. And other animals can't really do that. Like, they can, but not nearly to the extent that humans can do it. So I think it's fair to say that like what we're seeing with chimpanzees and orcas is an evolutionarily related process, but it's not culture. Again, this is getting into like the heuristics or whatever of language and definitions and all that bullshit, I guess. But I do think that there's a difference between these evolutionary, maybe not ancestors, because they are present and exist with us in the modern day, but evolutionary
like they're
relationship. Co-evolved and maybe indicative of where our thing came from. Like, there's probably a common ancestor of these behaviors. You know what I mean? Like, it's not to say that,
they were
like...
the smart ones.
It's not to say that, like, oh, this is, like, indicative of what we used to do in the past, because this is what they're doing in the present. So it's obviously, it wasn't static and unchanging, but I think it's fair to say that there's a common ancestor that ours diverged more wildly towards, in a way that is useful for us, but not useful for animals. And that's why it's so hard to talk about this stuff, because we can say, like, oh, we developed culture to be useful and super powerful, but, that's sort of implying evolution as like this inherently progressive process that just improves upon everything. That sort of leads to, you know, the thought process behind eugenics, which was that like, oh, we just need to like manually do evolution because evolution means improvement and so blah, 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 blah. Obviously not true. But on that topic, you know, I think part of the reason Neanderthal culture has much less evidence of sophistication by our arbitrary, I guess, definitions of sophisticated culture is because Neanderthals had low population density and were severely inbred. Part of the uniqueness of human culture, what we define it as, is the drive to spread it. Obviously, that's inherent to all social creatures, but we have a unique drive to spread it. There's an argument to be made that the drive to spread these social behaviors through the vehicle of what we call culture is why humans spread out across the world, interbred with all the other homo groups, came back. We left Africa.
Groups you interbred with?
Yeah, there he is. So we left Africa, spread out across the world, came back to Africa, interbred all those genes, spread back out again, went back into, like, the out of Africa theory is still true, but it's more like the out of Africa, then back in, then out, then back in again, and then back out again.
How many times you go in and out?
We went in and out again, interbreeding with those homos.
Oh, God. Do you think that there were, like, Neanderthal twinks?
Oh, for sure.
What do you think?
Absolutely.
You know, Neanderthals all had higher pitched voices than us. Did you know that?
Oh yeah, no, that video of that British guy recreating the Neanderthal voice is so good.
Now imagine that with a. See, I can't say it; it doesn't work as good. But queer scent.
The queer scent. Fuck!
Well,
I need to come out as bisexual
one.
really quick so that I can say it.
Just say it. Just say it. You just say it right now. Say I am a bisexual man.
No, I'm shy.
Everybody knows, dude.
But then it'll get clipped and put online or something.
Fork found in fucking kitchen, dude. Look at you.
You can't look at me right now, but I'm wearing it.
I'm looking at you. You got bleached hair. You got a wolf cut. He's wearing a textured tank top that you would see in the women's section of Zara. All right, and wire-rimmed glasses that like Hermione wore.
So imagine a Neanderthal with a fag scent. Grug like rock.
Holy fuck! I can't breathe.
Oh, it's such a shame Chandran wasn't here for this nuclear bomb drop.
Oh my fucking god! This needs to be the promo clip.
That'll get some listeners.
It would. Jesus fucking Christ, man.
Okay. We'll deliberate on this minute of podcast later, at least mentally. So there is an almost existential drive among humans to explore, spread, and diversify, conglomerating all of humanity into this huge genetic soup. It's part of why, race science falls apart under any serious scientific scrutiny. The underlying theory of race science is predicated on the idea that certain groups of Homo sapien became quote-unquote isolated, quote-unquote earlier than other humans. The idea is that the indigenous people of Australia, race scientists used to say, they were like the first group to leave Africa, and then they were just on Australia alone all that time. That isn't true. There's no evolutionarily significant isolation among any human population on Earth, especially with globalization, but never in the history. 2,000 years of isolation, even 10,000 years of isolation is nothing on an evolutionary scale. And even then, it's humans from Australia were going back and forth between the Philippines and Malaysia and back and all that stuff. So there's no real isolation, genetically speaking. Culturally speaking, even is like not even there entirely. Maybe more so, but like people mistake cultural difference for genetic difference, or have throughout the history of human society.
Hence racism.
And it's just not reasonable to make that correlation. A great example of this is The World in 1400 by Eric Wolfe, where it's basically a short essay where he talks about all of the ways that human populations were connected prior to the start of colonialism proper in 1400. In the year 1271, there was the ships going from Africa to China all around. Like, the only reason they called the Americas the New World is because that was the only part of the world that hadn't been thoroughly, like, explored, traded with, exchanged with, interacted with in some way. And even then, like, we know that, like, the Vikings were exploring the Americas. We know that they came across, well, there's a couple theories of how they came across from Asia. But there was
I think
real,
the
even cultural
land
isolation prior to 1400, I don't think. Like, there was, but not really.
Not complete isolation, although, like, South America, Latin America was pretty isolated from
Right.
non-South American cultures.
Yeah, and, like, culturally, of course, but and that is why in the sort of like racial hierarchy that these kind of guys made, Native Americans were near the bottom of that hierarchy because they're like, oh, they've been isolated for so long.
Yeah.
Which it's fair to say that they were isolated from the rest of the world, but the cultural diversity in the Americas was also something pretty significant and wasn't isolated that long. Like, on a cultural timescale, yes. Societal, yes, but like evolutionarily, absolutely not, even in the slightest.
Completely fair.
Another fun example I saw recently, well, not fun, but I saw this tweet recently where it was like these people on Twitter, likely suspect, talking about how Somalians are unensouled animals that don't even look humans. And it's insane because, like, race scientists in the 1800s thought that Somalis were like the white Africans. They were like, oh, they're the most advanced Africans. This tweet says they were considered Caucasoids of the Hamitic type, the first people to civilize Africa. And it's like, obviously, these two brands of racism are both uniquely despicable, but there's no underlying scientific logic to the racism that is being used in either of these cases. Yeah. And it's just like crazy to look back and be like, how are you saying that these people aren't even human just because, I don't know, they look a little bit different than other Africans, maybe? Like, that doesn't even make sense. I don't understand. Like, I don't know. And the genetic diversity in Africa is like so incredibly more than the rest of the world, again, because we were going in and out of Africa and back and forth throughout all of human history, that like conglomerating all Africans into one group, like something that they've been posting a lot on the Nazi website recently is like those IQ maps of Africa where it's like the average IQ in the entire fucking continent of Africa, which is crazy to say, by the way, is 60. A racist from the 19th century would have blown your head off with a flintlock pistol for suggesting that everyone in Africa is exactly the same. Like, are you out of your mind? It goes to show how racism as a tool of enforcement for white supremacy and capitalism has simplified over time because it is a tool, and the tool is more useful when it can be used bluntly to bludgeon greater and greater populations, while the definition of whiteness continues to shrink further and further.
Isn't it fun how fucked up of a society we live in? How fucked everything is? I know I've said it on every episode for the last 2 months, but I think the social contract might be dead.
I think the social contract might be dead.
It definitely seems dead, right? Like,
just no one, like, cares about each other anymore. No one cares about human life anymore.
Like, gives a fuck?
And it's
Like,
hard to be like, oh, I'm going to be better than my enemies. I'm going to, like, be nice to them. Because it's like, they don't care. They're like, if
want
they
you to
win, they're
die.
shooting you in the back of the head. And if they lose, they're just going to wait until they can shoot you in the back of the head. So it's like,
Yeah.
what do we even do? Like, the most, like, basic promise of human society is, like, basically out the window at this point. This is the type of shit that only happens when, like, 100-year wars are fought. You know, like, complete
Yeah.
disregard for human life. Like, how do we go back to this without something horrible happening?
Oh, something horrible is going to happen, brother.
Well, you hate to see that.
Something real bad is going to happen.
But on the bright side, chimps seem to be having a much more fun time with it. They're digging in their butts.
They are digging in their butts.
They're getting up in there. So one thing we sort of neglected to discuss is the jump from putting twigs in ears to putting twigs in butts in chimps. Part of the reason why it's still like considered like a cultural thing, even with this new revelation that they're just mimicking humans, is that they organically started putting shit in their butt. There is, of course, we've talked about this, the possibility that a guy was just digging in his butt around the chimps.
That's almost definitely what happened. Right?
But-
It's got to be.
Assuming that they started doing this organically, I do think that they just started mimicking maybe the ear behavior so much that it just became something that they paid attention to. Like the twig itself and its placement became an object of fixation socially for chimps. And being intelligent creatures capable of performing actions of their own volition, they put it in their butts because they want to draw attention to their butts, which are very important socially and sexually for them, which is sort of what they said in the article. I think the explanation could go either way. I don't think it's fair to say, like, chimps won't do anything unless they see a human doing it, you know, because I'm sure there's a ton of behaviors. Like, you think about, like, in the wild, the amount of time that researchers have spent observing chimps and how little that is in comparison to what they're actually doing all day, every day for millions of, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's certainly things in the wild that they do that we just haven't seen yet. Especially because it's not like they're not aware that we're watching them. Because part of, I don't know, maybe this is like breaking a magic spell for some people, but part of observing great apes in the wild, or any primates or animals really, is spending like weeks or months just being near them. Like physically introducing yourself to the animals in the wild so that they stop running away from you. So they know they're being watched. They know you're there. So they're not acting as if no one can see them. That in and of itself modifies their behavior. But I don't think it makes anything invalid. You know, I think even like the distinction between wild studies and captive studies is like, all right, it's worth acknowledging for the results, but it's not, oh, if you don't see this happening in the wild, it's a fake behavior that wouldn't happen. It's clearly something that they're still going to do and are capable of if we see it happening at all. But it's a bit different than, like, I don't know, teaching them to ride a bicycle. You know, like, we can safely say that's not like a behavior that means anything important. But with that being said, I think that's all I had to say for this episode.
I don't think I have anything else to say on that. Okay. Well, we did it.
Yay! All right. Well, that was episode 82.
Check out our Patreon, please.
Yeah, please check out our Patreon.
Please check out our Patreon.
We'd like
Please.
some more
I'd love
people
money.
in our community.
Oh,
More
yeah,
than
that
just
too,
money,
whatever.
we'd like more people in our community talking about our podcast, talking about how cool it is to hang out in our Discord server, talking about the episodes and all that, whatever. We want more of you in here. We'd appreciate our listeners, but more listeners is always nice because that gives us, you know, a little bit of positive feedback for what we're doing, shows us that it's worth it to keep doing it. You know, maybe send it to your friends and family and coworkers. You know what you should do? You should pull up our podcast on your phone and walk towards your coworker and be like, dude, check this out. and just like if they start like moving away, just like get really insistent and keep walking towards them and
Hey,
like
Chuck
put it
Mangione's
right in
dead.
front of their face. What?
Chuck Mangione is dead.
What the hell? Why is everyone dying?
The rule of threes, brother.
True.
Yeah, that's a New York.
Oh, he's
that's
from
a
Rochester.
New York legend right there.
Yeah, what the hell? Rochester. Bro! Chuck Mangione, Ozzy Osbourne, and Hulk Hogan. I remain! Do you understand me? I'm remaining! I'm the only thing you have
here.
left!
I'm still here,
I outlived
Batman.
them! I won!
It's a new rage-filled Austin we've never seen before.
We'll be sure to upload snippets of my time in Vermont tomorrow to the Guerrilla Radio Show Blackmail tier.
I'm gonna get
There's
drunk
a
and
reason
White
to spend $10 a month on us. You get to see all
There you
that
go.
fun stuff we do.
We're gonna go to the bar, and then on Saturday we're gonna go to the river, and then we're gonna go to Pride,
Yay!
and then we're gonna go to gay dance party. I'm so serious. We're going to the club.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll see you all next time. Goodbye, everyone.
Yeah. Goodbye, everyone.
I may be a white boy, but I'm not stupid.